solitary incarceration.
That's 2006. 2006.
Yes.
2016, you were quite active.
Well, yes, that's a fact. But let me go to the threat. First of all, I don't think this threat should stop anybody from standing. Yes, otherwise you achieve what the thinking next door me here will always want to propagate. It's dangerous. You will die. There is a possibility of life loss. Now, if you go to war and it is because you fear dying, then I can tell you are not going to fight any war. You had better put yourself some other kind of business. Now, by the way, some of these threats are just meant to give threats to give threats for purposes of deterring people. And I am of the view that my people here who take a different view should re-examine themselves about how much of this threat we must continue to fear. The other point I want to make is this threat is executed by some people. And they are not strangers. We know them, or we can know them. Either the tactical ones, the operational ones, even the strategic ones. So as far as I'm concerned, we should study these executors and we get to know what equips them and what doesn't equip them. For example, I can see that in times to come, instead of complaining about somebody causing violence on you, we would rather say we have a picture of Semu Junganda. He is the one who caused the violence on that very scene. But maybe the point I want, then thereafter, much is not very far. You may have to explain a few things. But you see, there is also this kind of violence. For example, is this violence more than the apartheid violence? Was it, for example, more than the other regimes we have dealt with? So it's a question of psychologically imparting violence on you, that you may then conceive it, and that it may be also deterring. Now, there is also another point I can make at this very juncture. Those of you who are recruited to serve the Republic of Uganda, and you are necessarily serving individuals, what is known about you? What is known about you? You are being paid by the Republic of Uganda's money. You are recruited to serve the Republic of Uganda, and you are serving individuals.
Will you address that question when it is directed at you? When they put that very question to you, say in 2016,
yes,
it is Gen.Tumukunde that was in that very position.
2016, Tumukunde was a retired officer, therefore entitled to take a political position.
Okay.
All these other elections I always hear about, and how you say it depends on what, because you can participate by providing security, which is your job. Impartial provision of security, not troop-sided provision of security in favor of another candidate. But you see, there is also something I see amongst Ugandans. Why should the mistakes of yesterday continue to prevail over us? And we use it to actually discourage Ugandans, giving an impression that it will never be, it cannot be. I'm quoting with discomfort the Congo situation recently. Who was the favored candidate? Shaddai Ramadan. Did he have resources? Didn't he not? Quite a volume. Did the Congolese vote him? No. Actually, the substantive facts and data is to the effect that actually he got 17%. So therefore, and this is for me what I'm passing on to our colleagues who are in this struggle of changing this country's, governance platform. Do not overquote yesterday. Do not you can imagine I'm joining you today and you start telling me how I have 1.5 legs. and you have a fight to do. Why don't you at least allow me to write your document if my legs don't work? Allow me to use my head if my leg can't work. But if you keep saying, oh, you know, oyo nokuveda, tumanyi, nokuvana dara, yo. Now,
okay. So you're on a consultation process. You say, as legally allowed, you want to consult with people to decide for yourself if you are going to stand for the presidency. Or have you actually already decided to stand for the presidency and you are testing the waters?
Actually, the limiting factor here is who we must work with.
Right.
There's so much to do before anyone wants. I can tell you the one of the grand faults about those of us, and when people are discussing about me, it's as if I started yesterday. Since 2003, it's a question of how you play role, but I've been opposing. At least I make my point very clear. But the point...
That one is true, and it explains the solitary confinement.
Yes, but it did many more things. I don't think some of these my colleagues have met them only today. But consulting to become a president, first of all, you consult in case you are the one. You want to know what you are dealing with. You don't want to be our typical players who you know, you dream one day and you fold your shirt and get in. But again now, we need to discuss with other people, because that's also the mistakes of yesterday. Every individual who wishes to be, you just put on your shirt and get in. There are other people we are still consulting with, whereas I consult to get to know what the circumstances are. It is important that I put a halt to my decisions to be able to consult with others and be able to strike a common position.
So how did you...
Maybe the last point.
Yes.
The danger I see in all this, for example, is that everybody thinks time is on their side. They want to hold meetings and write minutes and sit down and go back to consult. Those who should make decisions don't come. Then there are also some big men, very heavy ones. They have to be given special appointments and they don't even come on time. But I do not want to lose hope. For us, our main purpose now is to give hope to the whole function. So my message passes on to those that we don't have time. We need to rally quickly and be able to get solution.
And so how did you arrive at this situation? Gen.Tumukunde, what has made you to decide, what persuaded you to think, even to consider and take action to become a presidential candidate?
You see, when you are discussing this subject, you can even see your statements, even to think.
Yeah,
it's as if it's about going to heaven.
I have Moses Biaranga here. He has never even thought about it. He sits next to Namfi, and Namfi does not like him much because he has never thought to become president. He thinks Museveni should die in office, and so to jump out of that.
Why don't I have to think like Moses Biaranga?
How did you manage? So what do you bring to the table?
First of all, there's a lot at stake.
Yeah.
There's a lot not necessarily in order. And we've had a repeated history of the same trends, the same circumstances, the same decision makers. I think we need to renew ourselves. You see, what continues to bring problems to Africa is that we keep on the same template, same things, same circumstances. So, as time will tell, I will lay my case about why I think. But one of the main reasons is that I think we must bring new minds to these new circumstances. Because I want to tell you that Uganda is dynamic. However much you want to believe it is not, Uganda is dynamic. For example, we never had circumstances where 9.8 million Ugandans are below the age of 35 and they have the power to vote. Therefore, to decide who is...
If Parliament lets at least 1 million votes.
These are not employed. They don't have jobs. Some reasonably educated in these days' times. They are scattering between relatives, and some don't even have accommodation in Kampala. Some are in villages having given up. My main issue is who is going to attend to them. And if you check it against what my friends here programs are offering, what is there about them? Yeah. For me, I don't see anything about them. The only stories I hear are stories of generalities. Women. Who are women as at now? We have single mothers. We have divorcees. We have women who are necessarily struggling with life in the markets of Kampala. I visited them. I had an advantage of visiting Kampala sufficiently for 4 months. So when you are married, and there is the corporate lady like my neighbor here, and her thinking is completely different. Her needs are completely different. She operates in a completely different spectrum.
That one is is all true.
When you are addressing, it doesn't mean she's not sensitive to the needs of the other women. It's a question of whether she gives it time. So then the next question, as we plan for tomorrow, plan for Uganda's tomorrow, is all that is at stake being addressed by the current circumstances?
Okay.
My main question is that no. And therefore, what does this mean? It means that we must redesign, redirect, and renew and reinvent. First of all, the leadership. Secondly, the programs. Thirdly, as Ugandans want to say, strategy, policy, all these things. Sometimes it depends on how deep you get into these matters. So for me,
the person to beat is, of course, President Museveni, General Museveni. He's the big boy in this field. He has the money, he has the brute force, and he has that threat, the thought of a threat, as you've talked about. And generally speaking, all the time he comes out with figures. Some of them Moses provides for him, the kilometers he has provided on the roads of Uganda, the poverty, the economic growth, and so on. Are you addressing that line of thought as well?
That President Museveni has the money. One of these days,
and he says that he has brought the success that Uganda.
One of these days we want to ask something about this money. Who donates it? What are the channels?
You think he will answer? So far, he has refused to answer.
Where do they source this money? These are the money. I've already told you that Kabila had quite a bit of money. By the way, we just fear quoting circumstances, but I'm sure Buyoya had quite a bit of money. And he was a dominant force in Burundi at that time, when even these dramatic changes had not taken place in Africa. Those days it was the coup master. But for me, I don't fear money. But I can tell you, we may want to find out where this money comes from. The laws are very clear. The threat, I told you who executes this threat. We may have to know who this particular person is. About reading literature about progress, yes, we don't want to change things because there is no progress. By the way, I am of the view that in order for us to move forward better, we must appreciate what has been done. Because I came here when Uganda was what it is. I know what Uganda is today. I don't remember how many radio stations use the most nearest example. I'm told now we have 253. I don't know if that is growth and development. But again, we can appreciate what has been done. But you see, that doesn't mean that that's all there is to be done. Yes, there's a lot many things that ought to be done.
Okay, just a final one before we stop for a break, and then we have other people putting opinions and questions to you. You know, you were incarcerated for something like 9 years for dissent, and you were violently thrown out of parliament.
Spreading harmful propaganda.
And you are violently discarded from parliament again for dissent. At the same time, you know President Museveni very, because that was President Museveni's action, and you know that it is not anyone else's action that could throw out Tumukunde. And you also know that when Mbabazi did what you are doing now, the things that happened to him. So this president does not take too kindly to his buddies falling out with him. Are you prepared for that?
You see, I go back to my first story. Do you want us to lose hope? Go home and sit.
No, we want to be sure. The reason I'm putting to you this, just hold on, Gen.Tumukunde.
Yes.
You've heard yourself, Honorable Ssemujju, and I've not had a chance to speak to Honorable Beatrice Anywa to tell her what Ssemujju has been saying. People worry that now if we don't lose hope, if we go with Honorable Tumukunde, we want to be sure that Honorable Tumukunde is going the distance.
Yeah, but you see, you must also accept trust. But anyway, let me make the earlier point I wanted to make. According to you, we should fold our shirts, get into our bedrooms, and just sleep.
No.
Because, you see, this is...
It is not true. And I invited you here.
Do you know what is even disturbing? It's also an opposition view. People keep saying, Munang, Namarako. You can imagine making a start into it. But you see, I am also an informed person. For example, for those who really want to give us no hope, and I am not part of it, and I don't want to be part of it, let me give you some running example about the progress of the Honorable Ngandas and Honorable Katutu. Last elections, President Museveni, 2011, he got 5.28 million votes. And in 2016, he got 5.617 million votes.
5.9.
Well, we can cross-check on that. In any case, anyway, let's go to Dr. Besigye. Dr. Besigye, 2.064, 3.270. 1 million votes. By the way, there are many other factors at play. You only talk about money, but there are other factors at play. I don't know if we want to resort our tactics here and all the information we have. But still, even if this was a fact, I could also quote you some statistics. Yoweri Museveni in 1996 got 4.28 million votes. Kawanga Semogere got 1.416. Actually, 30% of Ugandans have never voted President Museveni. So the main issue is, even with Ugandans, in all their circumstances, if they can really raise 1 point against all odds, why must we lose hope? Why is it our business as leaders to make Ugandans lose hope? So for me, as far as I'm concerned, money, threat, even other circumstances. But there is also that quite a bit of the old story is breaking apart. For example, don't you think it matters that Gen.Tumukunde is now on the other side? You know, there was a situation in Kenya which I don't want to describe, but some stage in time, the very masterpieces on the other end had split into two pieces. So there was information on one corner, there was information on the other corner. Some doables were no longer doables. You know, I don't want to go offensive in these matters, and I don't have to disclose what I know. But I can tell you some doables stopped being doables. This Honorable Amama Mbabazi, do you know how much threat he offered to these Ugandans? How all of them were suspected to have been infiltrated, how they were. Some of them, I found them in total cold. For me, I was coming from outside. Total cold. There was rumors of malls of Mbabazi having infiltrated the structures of NRM. The first 3 months of Mbabazi was gazetted panic inside NRM. The fact that we Ugandans never get to record some of the gazetted panic. So, yes, even some of the people you hear now speaking for NRM, you should have seen them those times. They were dead quiet because they were suspected. I don't know how many will be suspected in this particular case, but in the case of Mbabazi, it was very serious. How the structures of NRM were, how the register money was being held by some other people. Gazetted panic. This may be now.
Soon it's a sponsored panic.
Do not lose hope. I can tell you, At least I know what happens on the other side, and I can tell you it's no longer a lot of money. But most importantly, we on this side, do we believe we can win? I want to repeat Honorable Katuntu's statement about individual merit. That exists. Do not discard it. But it of course, it murders discipline in parties. For now, we are not going to solve the problems that is in parties, structural, organizational, all these matters. All we need to do is assemble ourselves. Once this is in place, I want to tell you in categorical terms, we offer sufficient threat to the establishment. And the last point is what Honorable Semuju raised about whether people are willing to stand. People are willing to stand if you have sufficient hope that you are giving them. If you keep telling them how desperate this situation is, I would rather field myself with where I expect success. So the language of those commanding opposition, those ideologically leading the opposition thinking, must speak a language that inspires and gives hope to those you want to come up with to cause change.
We stop for a break.
The Capital Gang on 91.3 Capital FM.
The management of the Microfinance Support Center Limited wishes to inform its clients and the general public